In 1998, when Lexus introduced the RX 300, it was the very first car-based SUV. No one else had one out there. Today, just 11 years later, there are over 20 entries both in the luxury and non-luxury market. This segment is just booming. What you're looking at here is the third generation 2010 Lexus RX 350 and RX 450h hybrid. Now, in many ways, this car is evolutionary because if you look at the outgoing model, which was the best-selling Lexus model, they're selling over 80,000 units a year. Side-by-side comparison, it's just a little bit longer, a little bit wider, lower center of gravity, a little bit more power, but really all the changes are happening inside. That's what this car is all about. They moved a lot of the instrumentation up a little higher. Just the interior quality is so much nicer. It's quieter. It's got all sorts of little dampening devices to make the ride smoother and quieter. If you look at all the functionality you get and the smoothness, it's just really the perfect car. I hate to say it. I don't want to sound like an ad, but that's really what it is. One of the changes for 2010 is the spoiler. What it does is it conceals the wiper. You ask, why is that important? Well, here's why. When you take this car through the car wash, you don't have to worry about the rear wiper getting ripped off. Great. So let's look inside. You can use the key fob or the button on the dash to get inside. It has the power hatch, which is real nice when you're carrying some groceries and you don't have to worry about fumbling for the keys or anything. Just push a button and you're in there. Now, Lexus has made some changes in here. If you look at the outgoing model, there wasn't as much room. One of the reasons is it had these very high strut towers that were taking up interior space. That's gone. The reason they did that is because they shortened them and they also widened the wheelbase. It's great stuff. And if you look back here, there's these handles. So if you want to take the seats and fold them down, you just push a button and they go down. It's real nice. It has a 40-20-40 split. What does that mean? You can put the left one down, the right one down, or all three, and there's a little centerpiece, so it takes about 20%. If you want to just put the one in the middle down, that's great too. You could put some long skis or maybe some 2x4s, whatever you need. And when you're ready to close it, push the button, and away you go. The interior of the RX has been dramatically improved. One thing they did is they moved the navigation screen from down below to up high. And the reason they did that is more of a heads-up display. And speaking of heads-up display, if you get the navigation, there is an option for heads-up display which projects an image of your speed right there on the windscreen. That's just amazing because you never have to look down to see how fast am I going. You always know, no excuses when the cop stops you. But the biggest improvement Lexus made above and beyond everything else is all about this button right here. It's called the remote touch. Now, Lexus studied what BMW's done with their iDrive and what Audi's done with their MMI, Acura. Everybody's got something. Well, Lexus went to more of a mouse feature. The one complaint I have about the remote touch is that when you're driving and you're in motion, and especially if it's an uneven road, it's really hard to kind of pinpoint exactly where you want this cursor to go. You'll know what I mean when you go test drive this car. Again, make sure you don't just use this when you're standing still. Use it when you're in motion. It does have this feature where when there are multiple buttons, it actually you can actually feel the little notches, and that's very helpful. But when you're just kind of going in space and trying to find a song on your iTouch or something, it could be a little bit of a challenge. So just something getting used to, but a tremendous improvement from what they had in the past. And when you compare it to iDrive and other technologies out there, it definitely gets a nice A-. Another new feature for 2010 is the all-wheel drive system. They've had all-wheel drive in the past, but it was full-time all-wheel drive, no longer. Now, when you don't need it, you're just going to use the front wheels. When you do need it, it can go up to 45% in the back, 55% in the front. That's going to help you save money on gas because you're not using those wheels when you don't need it, which is going to be most of the time. Great technology. Also new for 2010 is Smart Access. What does that mean? You don't need a key anymore. You just bring it with you. As long as it's in the car, just push the button, you're good to go. When you do get inside the RX, where you'll be spending most of your time, you'll notice bright, vivid displays. That's because of organic LEDs. Let's talk numbers for a minute. The 350h has 275 horsepower, and the 450h hybrid, 295. Fuel economy, expect an average of around 20 for the gas version, about 25 for the hybrid. That's still about the best you can get on an SUV. The back seat of the RX has been dramatically improved One of the things that they changed was the rear entertainment system. Last year, it just had one pull down, which really kind of obscured the driver's rear view mirror. Not anymore. Now you have two 7-inch screens. If you're playing a DVD, the same movie will play on both. However, if one child wants to play a video game, the other one wants to watch a DVD, you can do that. All right, so let's wrap this up with a recommendation. What's the RX all about? Well, it's arguably the most practical crossover on the market, especially if you're looking for a luxury. Non-luxury, let's talk Highlander or something else, but let's just focus on the luxury market. Now, what else is in this segment? Well, you have vehicles like the BMW X5, the Mercedes ML, the Audi Q7. But in many ways, those cars are very different because they're all about performance. Not that the RX is a slouch, it's more focused on practicality and luxury. So if those are the key features you're looking for in your next luxury crossover, go down to your Lexus dealer, get the RX. However, if you're more about performance and you want to do a little more off-roading, probably not the car for you. But I have no problem recommending this car day in, day out. It's probably the right car for 90% of the people out there buying crossovers. So go down to your dealer and have a fun ride.